Imagine going from making no money to a six-figure business in less than a year, all while sucking at sales, like really bad, like talking yourself out of the sale bag. Sounds impossible, right? Well, buck up, bucko, because I'm about to show you how I did exactly that with one unconventional strategy. And it's not being a viral content creator, it wasn't social media ads, and it's definitely not begging for referrals because we had no clients to get them yet. This secret weapon is so simple, you'll kick yourself for not thinking of it sooner. So stay tuned, because in the next few minutes, I'm gonna reveal how I cracked the code to getting in front of high-powered entrepreneurs and turning those conversations into a thriving six-figure business, training to seven figures. Before we go into the secret strategy, let me paint a picture of where I started. If you ever tried to sell anything, especially to professionals like lawyers who we sold to, you know the struggle is real. Let's break down why traditional sales tactics were failing me miserably and how this realization led me to a complete paradigm shift in my approach. Picture this. There I was, armed with nothing but a phone and a dream, trying to convince law firms that they needed my content creation and social media marketing services. Spoiler alert, it wasn't going well. Here's what my typical day looked like. I get to the office, I start immediately hyping myself up, trying to get in the right mentality, being enthusiastic. I started dialing with enthusiasm, right? I get shut down by the first gatekeeper, or the call center, or the VA, or whoever the gatekeeper was. They asked me, oh yeah, we'll leave a voicemail. What's your name, your number, your email address, and they'll get back to you. Guess what? They never got back to me. It was soul crushing. I couldn't get past the receptionist, the VA, the call center, whoever it was, let alone talk to an actual decision maker. And when I did manage to stumble into a conversation with an attorney, well, let's say I had better luck trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. Or if I did actually talk to them, it was them letting me know that they're closing the business to go work for another law firm because they weren't that successful. Hence why they didn't have anyone answering their phone. The problem wasn't just getting through. Even when I did, I was hit with objections like, we don't need social media. Our clients don't use it. Content creation, that's what interns are for. We're too busy practicing law to worry about marketing. And my personal favorite, our managing partner's daughter handles our Facebook page. She's 19 and really good with computers. That was a good one, right? I was offering a solution to a problem they didn't even know they had. It was like trying to sell umbrellas on a sunny day. I knew I had value to offer, but I couldn't even get them to see the storm clouds on the horizon. After weeks of rejection, I had an epiphany. It wasn't just about my pitch or my product. It was about something much more fundamental: trust. Also keep in mind, I really sucked at the pitch, which didn't help. You've probably heard the saying, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. Well, I was 0 for 3 on that scoreboard. So let's break it down. No, these lawyers didn't know me from Adam. I was just another voice on the phone, easily ignored or forgotten. Like, even when I did get through, I was an interruption to their day. And let's face it, nobody likes being sold to, especially busy professionals. And trust, this was the biggest hurdle. Why should they trust me, a stranger with their firm's image and online presence? I realized I was approaching this all wrong. I wasn't building relationships, I was trying to force transactions. And in a field as personal and repetition dependent as law, that approach was doomed to fail. So I asked myself, how can I flip this script? Instead of pushing my way in, how can I get them to invite me in? How can I position myself not as a vendor, but as a valuable connection? That's when it hit me. The answer was so simple, yet so powerful, it changed everything. But before I reveal it, let me ask you this. What if you could position yourself as someone offering value rather than seeking a sale? What if you could make a potential client come to you, eager to be a part of what you're creating? In this next segment, I'll show you exactly how I did that and how it led to my first six-figure year in business. All right, are you ready for the game changer? The secret weapon that turned my business around and can do the same for you? It's time to reveal how a simple shift in approach opened doors I couldn't even knock on before. Get ready, because this is where things get exciting. Here it is, folks. Drum roll. I started a podcast. Yes, you heard it right, a podcast. Now, I know what you're thinking, a podcast, that's the big secret. But hear me out, because this isn't just any podcast. Let me walk through the transformation. Before, cold call. Hi, this is Jay Pro from Louder Media. Do you have a moment to discuss your firm's social media strategy? Them. Yeah, what's your name? Your number? Your email? Okay, I'll let them know you call. Click dial tone. After, the podcast invite. Hey, this is Jay Pro from the Get Louder podcast. We showcase leading attorneys and their journey in the legal field. Would you be interested in sharing your expertise as a guest on our show? The difference is night and day. Here's why it works. Positioning. Instead of being a salesperson, you're now a media personality. You're offering exposure, not asking for money. Perceived value. You're giving them a platform to show their expertise. It's flattering and beneficial for their personal brand. And third, there's also no pressure. There's no sales pitch involved. It's just a conversation which puts them at ease. Exclusivity. Being invited on a podcast feels special. It's not an everyday occurrence for most professionals. And time commitment. A 1-hour podcast interview feels a lot more manageable and worthwhile than a sales meeting or getting a coffee. Let me give you a real world example. There was this high profile attorney I'd been trying to reach for months. Cold calls, emails, even dropped by the office once. Not my proudest moment. Nothing wrong with it, by the way. Nothing worked. Then I sent a podcast invite. Not only did they accept, but his assistant reached out to us to schedule it within 24 hours. But here's where it gets really good. When this attorney arrived at our studio, his entire demeanor changed. He was impressed by the professional setup, the quality of the equipment, the thought we put into the questions. Before we even started recording, he was asking about our services. The key is to make the experience top-notch. Invest in good equipment, create a welcoming environment, show them that you're serious about creating quality content. This isn't just a podcast, it's your addition for their business. And remember, this strategy isn't limited to law firms. It can work for any B2B service, any industry where expertise and reputation matters. Think about it. Who wouldn't want to be featured as an expert in their field? Now, getting them in the door is only half the battle. The real magic happens during the interview. This is your chance to build a genuine connection, showcasing your knowledge of their industry and positioning yourself as a valuable resource. Here's a framework I use to make every interview a home run. I started with the warm-up. Start with an easy, open-ended question. Tell us a bit about yourself, your journey into law, how'd you get started, school, what made you want to get into law. This gets them comfortable at talking freely. Second, we dive a little bit deeper, ask about specific areas of practice, what drew you to criminal law, corporate law, employment law, whatever. This shows that you've done your homework and allows them to showcase their expertise. Third is I challenge them a little bit. I bring up like a current issue or trend that's going on in the field. How has the recent change in relevant law affected your practice? Whatever controversial I could think of, right? This demonstrates your industry knowledge and gets them thinking on their feet. Fourth, I add a little bit of a personal touch. I ask them about their motivations. What's the most rewarding part of their work? This humanizes them and leads them to a more powerful, quotable moment. Fifth is where we do try to get a little bit more controversial. If appropriate, touch on a debated topic. There's been some discussion around some controversial topic. What's your take on it? This shows you're not afraid to ask the tough questions and often leads to an engaging discussion. I like to start winding it down by asking them for their advice on what kind of advice would they give, a law student or somebody who's trying to enter into their footsteps or follow their footsteps. This positions them as a mentor, often leads to an insightful, shareable content. And then I'll ask them a little bit about where do you see the legal industry heading in the next 5-10 years. Let's get some thinking the big picture and often reveals opportunities for follow-up. And then I end it with the call to action. Where can listeners know more about you and your firm? This gives them an opportunity to promote themselves and ends on a positive note. The key though, throughout the interview is to be genuinely curious. Listen actively, ask follow-up questions, show that you're not just going through the same motions, but truly interested in their insights. Here's also a pro tip. Do your research before each interview. Read their recent cases, check out their firm's website, look into any social media mentions, then sprinkle in references to what you've learned. Say something like, oh, I noticed your law firm's recently won a landmark case. Can you tell us more about that? This level of preparation will impress them and lead to a much richer conversation. Remember, your goal isn't just to show off your own knowledge. As a matter of fact, I do very little talking and a lot of question asking. To make them feel that they are the star of the show, the more they shine, the more they'll associate positive feelings with you and your brand. By the end of the interview, you spent around like 30 to 60 minutes. On a really good interview, I've had them all the way up to like 3 hours, to be honest. Building a relationship, demonstrating your interest in their field, and providing them value. And the best part, you haven't pitched a single thing. You're simply opening the door to future conversations. So you recorded an amazing podcast episode with a top entrepreneur. In our instance, it was attorneys. So when you invite them to your podcast, you might not have any business to do, but it's a great way to ask questions that you genuinely wanting to know about your own business. And it positions them as the mentor, so they love it. They get great content. As a matter of fact, a lot of times I've asked questions curious about my own business, and those clips actually made our podcast guest go viral. Going back to what I was saying, pat yourself on the back, but don't stop there. This is where the real magic happens. In this segment, I'll show you how to turn that single interview into a content goldmine and ultimately a business relationship that can generate some serious revenue. Here's where we separate the amateurs from the pros. They don't call me J-Pro for no reason. Most people would simply upload the podcast and call it a day, but not you. You're gonna squeeze more value out of that interview. And here's what I did. So you're gonna upload the full episode, right? You're gonna upload it. I upload it to YouTube. You can also upload it to other, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. Make sure to create show notes with timestamps so that you can navigate the episode easily. Now, video content, like if you record a video and upload the full episode on YouTube, you can also create 3 to 5 short clips of the most interesting, controversial moments. These clips are perfect for Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and LinkedIn. A lot of people are sleeping on LinkedIn. Don't sleep on LinkedIn, all right? So you recorded the video. You gotta do video. Now, if you really wanna over-deliver, here are some other content types you can consider. Audio snippets, blog posts, social media quote posts, email newsletters. But remember, it's all about quality over quantity. Focus on what you can do well and consistently. That's the most important part. You create a media kit for each guest. This includes links to the full episode on various platforms, 3 to 5 pre-made social media posts. Then you send this kit to them with a personalized email. It'll go something along the lines of, thank you again for being an amazing guest on whatever your podcast, the Get Louder podcast. I've put together some content from our interview that you're welcome to share with your network. Feel free to use any or all of this on your firm's social media or website. If you need any modifications, just let me know. The results of this approach have been staggering. In multiple cases, some of our clips from our interviews went viral on IG and TikTok, racking up over 3 million views. But it's not just about virality. Even if the content doesn't blow up, you're consistently positioning yourself and your guests as a thought leader in their space. And every piece of content is another opportunity for potential clients to discover both of you. Remember, in a world of professional services, being seen as the expert is everything. By creating this content ecosystem, you're not just helping your guests boost their profile, you're establishing yourself as the go-to media expert, for our case, the legal industry, but any service industry. Now, here's something cool. After your interview, some guests will want to work with you right away. It happens. Not all the time, but it does happen. So you'll need to nurture the relationship. Let's talk about a couple scenarios. If a guest is ready to partner immediately, great. Don't be afraid to have that conversation and explore how you can work together. It's a great sign that you've already built trust and demonstrated value. But for those times when they're not ready to work right away, you need to play the long game. Here's a casual follow-up sequence I like to use. I call it the soft sell nurture sequence. It goes something like this. The thank you. Immediately after the interview, send a heartfelt thank you email within 24 hours of the interview. Include a few of your favorite moments from the conversation. No selling, just a genuine appreciation. And within the week, you want to send the media kit. Make sure you want to work fast. Make sure you want to send it within a week. So make sure you have your SOPs dialed in. And if not, plug in some SOPs that you can get off of me, where I already have all this set up for you. Offer to help them or their marketing team use the content effectively. Still no direct selling, just adding value. 1 to 2 weeks after, you're gonna do the social boost. Start sharing clips and quotes from the interview on your social channels. Make sure to tag them or collaborate with them in every post and encourage your team to engage and share the content. 2 to 3 weeks after, we hit them with the follow-up. You're gonna reach out with an update on how the episode is performing. This will typically lead into another conversation. A month after, we call this the insight share. Send an email with interesting insights or trends you've noticed in their area of law. Relate it back to something they mentioned in the interview. Position yourself as the thoughtful observer of their industry. Now, 68 weeks after, we have the collaboration suggestion. Hey, let's collaborate on something. Let's collaborate on a joint webinar where we're teaching people, you teach people about your area of law. I teach people about what I do. Frame it as an opportunity to provide value for both you and their audiences. Now we're 2 to 3 months after the interview. Now we're gonna send them a case study. You're gonna showcase, the metrics of your podcast and how well it's done. You're also gonna showcase them, if you have one, a case study of a client that's working with you who's similar to whatever niche or field they're in. Now we're like 3 to 4 months after the podcast, right? This is the soft pitch stage. By now, you should have already established a relationship and demonstrated your value. Now it's time to reach out and discuss how you might be able to help them achieve results using your services. This isn't a hard sell, but it is an invitation to explore working together more closely. Keep in mind, every stage is seeding the fact that you guys could be potentially working together, all right? The key to this is to approach it with patience and consistency. You're playing the long game, building a relationship based on mutual value and respect. Remember, when I started this strategy, I was really bad at sales. Somehow talking myself out of a sale bad. But this approach changed everything for me. Here's what typically happened. Some of our guests were ready to go right after the podcast. They'd closed during the follow-up stage, already impressed by the content we've created and the value we provided. It was almost effortless. That's best case scenario. But most of the time, the magic happened during the soft pitch stage. By this point, we've built a relationship, demonstrated our value consistently, and positioned ourselves as the experts. We also slowly seeded in their mind of a deeper working relationship. So by the time we got to the soft pitch stage, it's sort of a, hey, we doing this or not? And here's the kicker. Even though I was really bad at sales, I was closing deals. Why? Because I wasn't really selling anymore. I was continuing a conversation, offering more value based on a relationship we'd had already built. This strategy turned me from someone who could talk themselves out of a sale into someone who could consistently land six-figure contracts. Remember, in high-ticket B2B sales, especially in professional services, the sale is often won long before the contract is signed. It's won through consistent value delivery, thoughtful relationship building, and strategic positioning. Your podcast creates the initial connection, but it's this nurture sequence that transforms your guest into paying clients. And the best part, it works even if you're not a natural-born salesman. Trust me, I'm living proof of that. So there you have it, the secret strategy that took us from a struggling startup company to earning six figures in less than a year, around 8 months to be exact. But here's the thing, this isn't really about podcasting, and it's definitely not about becoming an overnight sales success. What we've really been talking about is a fundamental shift about how we approach business relationships. It's about leading with value, playing the long game, and positioning yourself as a trust advisor rather than just another vendor. The podcast, that's just a tool, an incredibly effective one, but still just a tool. The real magic is in a mind shift change. From interruption to invitation, from pitching to storytelling, from selling to serving. This approach works because it aligns with how humans naturally form relationships and make decisions. We trust those who give before they take. We listen to those who listen to us first. We buy from those who understand our challenges and aspirations. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, but I'm not in the legal industry, or I don't have the resources to start a podcast. Here's the beautiful thing. The core principles of the strategy can be applied to any business or in any industry. Maybe for you, it's not a podcast. Maybe it's a video interview series, a written Q&A feature on your blog, or even a local meetup group. The medium isn't what matters. What matters is creating a platform that positions you as the connector and curator of valuable information, gives you a reason to reach out to a potential client that isn't a sales pitch, allows you to demonstrate your expertise and understanding of your target market, provides a way to create ongoing touch points and nurture relationships over time. The goal is to flip the script, to have potential clients coming to you, seeing you as the valuable resource rather than just another salesperson trying to get their attention. As we wrap it up, I want to leave you with this thought. The most successful people in any industry are those who find a way to add value consistently, build genuine relationships, and play the long game. This strategy isn't a quick fix or a sales hack. It's a fundamental reimagining of how we approach business development. So here's my challenge to you. Take the core ideas of what we discussed today and think about how you can apply them in your business. How can you shift from interruption to invitation? How can you lead with value in every interaction? How can you position yourself as a trusted resource in your industry? If you do this, if you truly commit to this approach, I promise you, the results will follow. You'll not only see your revenue grow, but you'll also find yourself enjoying the process of business development in a way that you never thought possible. I want to thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights on innovative business strategies. And remember, in a world full of salespeople, be the one who truly listens, truly serves, and truly adds value. Your future clients are waiting. And if you want any of the SOPs that we've discussed in this video, just comment SOP and I'll send that to you.